You know, sometimes you can't escape the metaphor playing out in front of you in real life. And the current one right now at the time of this recording is the caravan. The caravan coming out of Latin America. Thousands of people wanting to get the hell out of Latin America. Well, folks, who's talking about and informing you and reminding you of the history of why is this even happening? Well, what's going on? Because if you don't pay attention to that, what do you think's going to happen? Is this going to go away? It's only going to get worse. What happened? Why are these people so desperate? And have been, even before the caravan, all that, immigration coming into the U.S. from Latin America. Well, no one's telling you. They're just giving you the fear. Fear of what? Human beings are desperate. Well, you would be fearful if you didn't get an idea of what the hell's going on. And all you listen to is the right-wing wackos trying to get you scared. Drive up the racism. Fear. Oh, these are the Hispanic people coming up here. A racial thing. Get worked up about nothing. And not getting it about how you even got there. Who put you in there? What happened? What was the policy that made this thing kind of happen? A caravan. Not the first time, remember. Let's keep in mind, there's been thousands upon thousands coming. So in the U.S., it's estimated to be few million of people who have emigrated out, got the hell out of Latin America. Well, folks, of course the Republicans don't want to tell you about it, because it starts to spotlight a lot of American crap. Foreign policy disaster, religious fascism. Because why are all these, what's the issue? Poverty. Why? Because they're overpopulated. There's a ton of people. Why? Well, you see, the religion said you gotta have babies. The religion said you can't have access to birth control and abortion. So it just overpopulated. And it became, where's the work to support this population? There isn't. Where's the economy? There isn't. So desperate people they've been born into this thing of a society-wide meltdown, economic failure, and religious extremism. From all this Dark Age stuff. From not just Catholics. He's got a lot of these Christian wackos in the U.S. who are saying, oh, babies. No birth control, no abortion. And they're so dumb they're not making this recognition of what our planet is, our Earth itself. What is an example of that's happening here? Overpopulation. Because of religion. Dark Ages, mythic, ignorant religion. And this is the outcome. Overpopulation, poverty, a big sanitation meltdown, disaster. There it is, coming your way. This rolling, walking metaphor, reality of the extremism, the outcome of these religious wacky ignorances still trying to go on in the 21st century. Failure. But that's only part of the story of all that. I mean, that's a huge part of the story out of this thing in Latin America. The other one is the stupidity of America's drug war. Here you got this desperate people with no economy. But man, they can grow some good weed down there. They can make some farms just suddenly appear and start manufacturing all sorts of intoxicants. And since it makes so much money, and everybody else is poor, who has the power? These criminal enterprises, these drug gangs, raking in billions and billions a year, while the rest of the whole country has hardly any economy for all these people. So, of course, the drug gangs run everything. Government, police, military. They got the money. They can feed you. And that continues because of the stupidity of America's drug war. And what is the drug war about? Oh yeah, repression of your access, your responsibility. A great scheme of fraud. Based on what? Well, a big part of it, again, is Dark Age religion. These Christian wackos came up with this policy of prohibition, repression, denial. Why? Well, the motivation was that it was all immoral. And therefore they pushed their morality through as legislation. And legislation had to be enforced. And enforced became police state terrorism against the population. To enforce their morality. Their morality is criminality. Well, that's the root of it. That's what keeps it going. The fear. Immoral. And all you're doing is feeding multi-billion dollars a year to criminal enterprises that ravage and destroy Latin and South America. America. Foreign policy, right there. And there comes the caravan. People who want to get away from the gang and violence and corruption. People who want to get away from the religious wacko repression. People who want to have a chance. Go someplace else, desperate, where they might be able to get a job. At all. Might get a job at all. See, because American corporations actually were fueling this whole thing of this poverty. It gives you cheap labor supply. So you're in cahoots with religion. More population, overpopulation, don't have to pay them anything. Cheap labor supply. Access through cheap labor, give you access cheap to natural resources you take out of there. And you dominate the whole system. But the poverty stays. And the police state stays. And the repression stays. Funneled and supported by the U.S. government for years. Democrats and Republicans supporting and creating dictatorships that crushed human rights. Meanwhile, America's standing back saying, oh, you're great, we're great, we're free, we have human rights here in America, we get all these freedoms in America, and there America is at the very same time creating and developing and supporting dictatorships in Latin and South America that are crushing human freedoms, civil rights. America created it. Here comes the caravan. That's more of the whole story of what's going on. What is this? How did you get here? What's driving it? What? Because if you don't know that, how are you going to anything solve? What's going to happen? Just put up a wall. You know, that whole thing's so stupid. Ignorance. It's like it's just an obvious example of denial. We're not going to talk about what anything happened here. We're just going to put up a wall. That's what, we're just not going to talk about it. We'll just put up a wall. Because you can't start talking about it, because then a whole trickle back starts to happen about, oh, wait a minute. This whole thing was going on because you guys did all this bullshit crap of the war on drugs, a vast criminal enterprise, a needless thing. It has to end. There's multi-billion-dollar market running, and you don't run it. It's there. You're not gonna stop it. You don't need to stop it. You can't enforce this thing of repression and morality. People have an interest in sex. People have an interest in intoxication. You have to run the business, not criminal enterprise. You have to look at the roots that started this whole thing that is now rolling along toward the border, the caravan. And you see that it's American policy that created this, sustains it. So how are you going to change? What do you got to do to, deal with it finally? If you don't know what the hell got it going and what keeps it going. Once you know that, you can change. You can get rid of the religion crap. You got to have access to birth control and abortion. You have to have economic development. You have to have a government and police and structures that you can count on that are not run by criminal enterprise. And sustain themselves with briberies and threats and intimidations and payoffs. But actually function as a viable government run by the people, with the people's oversight, people's input of how it's supposed to run, who's supposed to benefit, and then you have economic development too. They have to have economic development, have to have education, have to have health care. Or you're gonna keep seeing the caravan coming. Year after year. Desperate. You got to look at the root. You got to see how they got there. Nobody's talking about it. No Republican definitely isn't talking about it. They're scared of bringing up that stuff. It comes back around to Democrats too, but there's Republicans. We got Ron Reagan, as fact, was importing cocaine into the U.S. with his Iran-Contra scam. Thousands of tons of cocaine. While Ronnie stood up there going, just say no to drugs. Well, Ronnie Reagan was the biggest drug trafficker. The president of the United States. At the same time, enforcing this draconian stupidity of drug war. See, it's all fraud. The stupidity you got to catch up with and stop. And not continue. You have to run the business, and you do it by legalization. You pull the rug out from the billionaire criminal enterprises. Crime drops. Violence, bribes, scandal, the pervasive invasion of the criminal enterprise into all sorts of business. But you also are taking a long time, and the longer time you wait, criminal enterprise is already moved into other businesses. Not just one track, just importing drugs or manufacturing drugs and making millions and billions. No. Once you got all that money, you start to diversify. You go into real estate and hotels. You go into government. You go into pharmaceuticals. But then you're bringing in that whole element of still the attitude of criminal enterprise. Trying to scam it. Destructive. But at some point you got to stop and just say, face the music, face the music and dance. You got to legalize. You have to run the market. And there comes the caravan of desperate people trying to get away from America's ridiculous fraud of a war on drugs. Got to look at the root, see things in the 21st century light, and then talk about it. Find out a way to solution, get the thing going, get the activity going. But you got to see what you got, where did it come from, how's it going, perpetuate it. And nobody's talking about it. They're just putting up a wall. Or not, no, don't put up a wall. Put up a wall. No, don't put up a wall. But nobody's talking about what's going on. How did it get here? How do you end it? What motivated it? What sustains it to this day? That caravan rolling in. And with it, all of that coming with it.